Hello, and it's good to have you with us today because we're going to take a look at the combat patches of the men and women of the United States Army who created the greatest military victory in the past 30 years, Operation Desert Storm, or the liberation of Kuwait. So, let's take a look. Hello, and welcome to Veterans Medals Workshop, where today we have a great show on the United States Army combat patches for Operation Desert Storm, or the Gulf War, as you may call it. It's the most incredible display of shock and awe that the world has ever seen. And today we're going to take a look at, starting with the 3rd Army, all of the major combat support, and combat service support units that led that sweep to victory and annihilated the Iraqi army. First of all, I'd like to thank America for providing all of the patches you're going to see today, and most especially the Peter Morgan, because his patch book contains all of these patches and over 5,000 more. It's available for you on Amazon or on Medals of America Press, and I think it's on sale right now. Also, all of the badges, ribbons, medals, and insignia that go with Operation Desert Storm are in our latest book, United States Army Medals, Badges, and Insignia, also available for you on Amazon or Medals of America Press. So, we're going to take a look at the units that put together the greatest victory since World War II. It influenced American diplomacy and military diplomacy for the next 30 years because no other nation realized that they could stand up to the American military might displayed in Operation Desert Storm, when it totally annihilated an Iraqi army in 4 days in February of 1991. So, first of all, wait a minute, not first of all. Let me ask you, if you enjoy these shows, please give us a like, even better subscribe. It really, really helps keep them going. And so, let's go take a look at the combat patches for all those men and women of the United States Army that won the greatest victory since World War II, the combat patches of Operation Desert Storm. All right. Just to put things in perspective, let's review the bidding on the wear of patches. Back in World War II, the unit of assignment patch went on the left sleeve, as shown in the jacket on your left, with the combat patch on your right sleeve. With the introduction of the new all-blue uniform, the patches, or cloth patches, disappeared, and the combat insignia was a metal insignia that went on the left breast pocket. With the return of the new World War II uniform, combat patches will again go on to the sleeve of the uniform, with the unit of assignment patch on your left and the combat patch on your right sleeve. So, using the 3rd Infantry Division patch as an example, the old 3rd Infantry Division patch from World War II, Korea, and Vietnam will become the new 3rd Infantry Division patch to be worn on the sleeve of the uniform as a combat patch, and the metal insignia of a combat identification badge, as shown below, will be maintained for the blue dress uniform. So to give you a quick overview of the disposition of the forces we're going to talk about, the 18th Airborne Corps was on the left side of the line and was going to make a broad sweep around the left flank. The 7th Corps was in the center with the heavy armor forces for a drive up the middle and then a sweep to the right. And the Marines were going directly at Kuwait City with the support of the Tiger Brigade of its 2nd Armored Division. The United States 3rd Army, General Patton's famous unit from World War II, was in overall charge of the 2 Army Corps, the 18th Airborne Corps out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, and the 7th Corps out of Germany. Here's a very nice Lieutenant Colonel's display that shows his 3rd Army Combat Identification Badge in the upper right-hand corner and his 1st Corps Support Command Combat Identification Badge, the metal badge, in his upper left-hand corner. And you can tell that he is a reserve officer by the number of times he's been mobilized on his Armed Forces Service Medal. And by the way, if any of you think you've ever seen a different 7th Corps patch, well, you have. On the right is the original 7th Corps patch. Underneath the 18th Airborne Corps was the 82nd Airborne Division, composed of 3 brigades. The 2nd Brigade of the 82nd was attached to a French division, which was also under the command of the 18th Airborne. The 101st Airborne Division Air Assault had the 1st Brigade, 2nd Brigade, and 3rd Brigade under its command, and the 24th Infantry Division had its 1st and 2nd Brigade, but it had attached to it to make up for its 3rd Brigade, the 197th Infantry Brigade mechanized. It was, in essence, the acting 3rd Brigade of the 24th Division. Here is a great shadowbox display of an 82nd Airborne platoon sergeant who saw service in Operation Desert Storm and also had the pleasure of making a combat jump with the 173rd in Operation Iraqi Freedom. And in fact, if you look at his Iraqi campaign medal, you'll see, what do you see there? An arrowhead, because he made a combat parachute jump. Other very important 18th Airborne Corps assets were the famous 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment and the 20th Engineer Brigade, and a lot of the 20th Engineer Brigade were authorized to wear an airborne patch over the 20th Engineer Brigade insignia, and I'll show you some examples of that in a moment. Shown on the bottom of the screen, reading left to right, were the 3 critical field artillery brigades. The 18th Field Artillery Brigade in the lower left-hand corner supported the French division on the left flank. The 196th Field Artillery Brigade, shown in the center bottom from the Tennessee Army National Guard, and the 212th Field Artillery Brigade, which supported the 24th Infantry Division, it's shown in the bottom right-hand corner. Key 18th Airborne Corps support units, as starting in the upper left-hand corner is the 1st Corps Support Command, and it's authorized an airborne tab over its patch. Then to the right, the 44th Medical Brigade, which also included hospitals from the Army Reserve and the Alabama Army National Guard. And then the 16th Military Police Brigade Airborne. The lower left-hand corner, the 35th Signal Brigade Airborne, which had 4 signal battalions. And then on the lower right-hand corner, the 525th Military Intelligence Brigade Airborne, with 4 military intelligence battalions. The 7th Corps deployed from Germany was a heavy corps in the center of the line, and it had, shown in the lower left-hand corner, the 1st Armored Division. It had the 3rd Brigade of the 3rd Infantry Division acting as its 1st Brigade, and it had its regular 2nd Brigade and 3rd Brigade of the 1st Armored Division. Then to the right of the 1st Armored Division is the 3rd Armored Division, the Spearhead Division, and it had its 1st, 2nd, and 3rd Brigade. To the right of the Spearhead Division is the 1st Infantry Division, and it had its own 1st and 2nd Brigade, but comprising the 3rd Brigade of the 1st Infantry Division was the 3rd Brigade of the 2nd Armored Division, and it was acting as the 1st Infantry Division's 3rd Brigade. There was also a British Armored Division attached, and it received support from all of these units. So just in case you ran into the 16th Queen's Royal Lancers or the Queen's Dragoon Guards, you know that they were operating under the 7th Corps. The 1st Cavalry Division was missing its 3rd Brigade, so it was operating with its 1st and 2nd Brigade. So those were the 4 heavyweights in the center. Here is a nice shadow box of a staff sergeant from the 3rd Brigade of the 3rd Infantry Division, which was acting as the 1st Brigade in the 1st Armored Division during Operation Desert Storm. He also had the pleasure of going on Operation Iraqi Freedom, where he fought with the 4th Infantry Division. This armor officer obviously had the pleasure of serving with both the 1st Armored Division, Old Ironside, and the 3rd Armored Division, the Spearhead Division, and proudly displays both of their patches. American armor was literally unstoppable on the battlefield. Well, here's a really nice display case of a young Army captain. Well, he was a young Army captain 30 years ago, where he displays his cloth 3rd Armored Division Spearhead patch in the upper right-hand corner, and on the right you can see the new metal combat identification badge for the 3rd Armored Division. This specialist 4th class who served in the Engineers shows his 1st Infantry Division patch in the upper right-hand corner, and an interesting novelty insignia as a combat engineer. Evidently he wanted you to know he was a combat engineer. This Master Sergeant shows his Desert Storm medals with 2 1st Infantry Division patches, one to indicate service during peacetime and one to indicate service during wartime. Other key units to the heavy 7th Corps was the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment, shown on the upper left-hand corner, and the 7th Engineer Brigade, which you can see to the upper right-hand side, and it has a unique tab. Make sure you know it's a 7th Engineer Brigade. It had an engineer group from the South Dakota Army National Guard. It had an engineer group from the Virginia Army National Guard, and it also had some U.S. Army Reserve troops. 4 key field artillery brigades, starting in the lower left-hand corner with the 42nd Field Artillery Brigade that supported the 1st Division and the 3rd Armored Division. Then the next patch is the 75th Field Artillery Brigade, which supported the 1st Infantry Division and the 1st Armored Division. The third patch, was a circular one with the blue background, is the 142nd Field Artillery Brigade of the Arkansas Army National Guard, and that supported the 1st Division and the 1st United Kingdom Armored Division. The last patch on the right is the 210th Field Artillery Brigade, which supported the 2nd Armored Cavalry Regiment and the 1st Division. 7th Corps support was provided by the 2nd Corps Support Command, whose patch is shown at the top above, and it had units from the Army National Guard and Army Reserve. In the lower left-hand corner is a patch of the 332nd Medical Brigade, which had Army National Guard and Army Reserve combat support hospitals, surgical hospitals, and evacuation hospitals. The green and gold patch was the 14th Military Police Brigade, which had 2 battalions from the Army National Guard, along with its 3 active duty battalions. The patch to the right of that, which is very interesting with the 9-pointed star and the 3 lightning bolts, is of course the 93rd Signal Brigade. And then to the right of that, on the lower right-hand corner, is the 270th Military Intelligence Brigade with 3 battalions. The 3 awesome aviation brigades are shown here. Starting on your left was the 12th Aviation Brigade. Then at the upper center is the 11th Aviation Brigade, and on the far right is the 18th Aviation Brigade. And their operations there were unbelievable. Sometimes during one day there were over 300 helicopter sorties ferrying troops 100 miles deep into Iraq. So what can you say? Awesome units, awesome performance. The 5th Special Forces Group Airborne is one of the most decorated active-duty Special Forces groups in the armed forces. They put out over 106 special operating teams during the festivities, if you want to call it that. General Schwarzkopf described the Special Forces as the eyes and ears of the conventional forces and the glue that held the coalition together. 5 other units I just want to touch on before we wrap up, is starting with the upper left-hand corner, was the 3rd Corps Field Artillery, then the 2nd Armored Division Hell on Wheels Tagger Brigade, as I said, fought with the Marines on the right-hand side. In the upper right-hand corner is the 13th Corps Support Command. In the bottom left-hand corner is the 11th Air Defense Artillery Brigade, which I believe made the first intercept of a ballistic missile in combat during the operation. And then on the far right bottom is the 7th Medical Command. This young sergeant proudly displays his 11th Air Defense Brigade patch in the upper left-hand corner of his display case. Thank you for joining us today. I hope you enjoyed this show on the United States Army combat patches for all the men and women who served in Operation Desert Storm. All of the combat support, and combat service support forces. And if you think I missed one, be sure and let me know. I appreciate that. Once again, if you enjoy the shows, please give us a like. Even better, please give us a subscription. Oh, and don't forget, Major Peter Morgan's book. Got all of the patches you saw today and 5,000 more. So until next time, good to have you with us on Veterans Medals Workshop.
First to fight for the right